Good evening. My name is Maria Kazmi, also known as Brown Girl Interrupting, and welcome to Pain to Power. This is the show where we learn how to build our toolbox on healing in community. And there are so many great stories that are shared with you. And today, as we are on the heels of Valentine's Day, I'm thinking about this idea of healing and the love that goes into healing. Peace and power. I love it. Welcome, Brother Nance, and welcome to all of our supporters here with us today. It's so nice to have you here. But I had to give a shout out because this Valentine's, I got probably one of the best Valentines ever, which is from my older son who's 21. He made me a handwritten card, like handwritten, all this. And the reason that's so important is because we've been on a journey. And so I think part of my healing has been reminding myself of how much love I am surrounded by. And so this card was a really special moment because it was thanking me for being his mother, for all the things I've done for him, including teaching him how to make cards and be crafty. And it filled my cup, which for me, in a time when I am needing some healing right now, has been beautiful. So I just want to continue to remind us that there are so many ways that we are loved and continue to have our cups filled so that we are continuing to heal ourselves. And welcome right now to the stage my guest who has also been on this journey of healing herself and now helping others to heal. I am super excited to introduce to you the accomplished dentist, a public speaker, a healer, and the CEO of Rejuve Retreats, Dr. Trudy-Ann Frazer. Welcome, Dr. Trudy-Ann.
Oh, thank you, Myra. I appreciate the warm welcome. I appreciate it.
Well,
I'm
I am so
hard
happy to have you here.
I'm excited. I was saying I'm so looking forward to our time spent together.
Me too, me too, because I think like you just have this gentle light and warmth about you that I am excited to have here, but also to share with so many others who are joining us today. And so, how's your evening going?
Absolutely. Well, I'm overcoming lots of things in my life, including this weird sore throat thing. But Myra, I said this is not going to hold me down. I'm going to show up.
I love it, and I'm so glad that you did. And we'll heal through. Hopefully, you'll feel better, and we'll be able to keep us going today. So thank you. So I always invite everybody over here. The name of the show is called Pain to Power, but I think it's really important to understand everyone's relationship with those two things. And I'm just wondering for you, when you think about pain to power, what comes up for you in that?
Mm, I firstly, I love that the P to P, pain to power. When I think of that, I think about life and the circumstances, especially the negative ones, that they happen for me and not to me. So I can own what's happening and reframe the circumstance and say, you know what? This is happening for me to grow. This is happening for me to learn. And this is happening for me to let go of the things that are no longer serving me. And I can walk into that, own it, and show up more powerfully, more vulnerable, more relatable, more authentic. So I can use the hardship or the trials that happen in life to make me more powerful and to pour. I heard you talk about cup, pour into the cup, my physical, my mental, my spiritual cup, and show up more powerful.
Oh, that's so beautiful because it's that power of reframing.
Yes.
Mindset is the first shift, right? And you definitely say that, right? Life is happening for me and not to me. And I think you like just completely, encapsulated what pain to power is in this journey of recognizing that it is about finding the power within the pain. And so and within that, right, you are originally from Jamaica and you have family history there. Tell me a little bit about just your background of what it is to be, what it is for you to
Mm-hmm.
be Jamaican.
Yes, so it's funny when you say you're Jamaican. I wanted to do a little dance there.
Yeah.
So I was born in Jamaica. I was born close to Negril, so I'm a beach baby. I love all things water. I scuba dive. I swim. My first job was a lifeguard. I think that was me owning that Jamaican side of me, that water loving side of me. And as I talk about being Jamaican, I'm sure my dialect is going to come out more, but I was born there. I grew up, and I left at 9. And then I like to say I continued to grow up in Stone Mountain, Georgia. So the Jamaican area, all the West Indians in Atlanta, most of them, let me say that, are in Stone Mountain or that East Side area in Atlanta. I do enjoy being from Jamaica. Like it's that cultural immersion because we have so many different foods, so many different spices. We even have a different dialect. And on contrary to common belief, our first language is English. Patois is a dialect. It's still English, but it's a mixture of some French and some Spanish words, like pequeña in Spanish. In Jamaica, we say picnic, so it's child. So it's just a mixture of English with like some jumble up. I guess it's Jamaican Creole, you can call it. I think that would be the closest thing. The cool thing about being Jamaican is, and this is me reframing. It's cool because I'm not Jamaican enough for the Jamaicans because I grew up here, but I'm also not American. So throughout this journey, I'm 36. I don't mind sharing. I know I look like 21, but I have learned to almost create my own identity and telling myself, you know what? Though when I'm in Jamaica, they're like, yeah, you're Jamaican, but where do you live? And then Americans like, oh, you talk funny. Like, what was that? Where are you from? I'm enough. Merging both worlds together, I create this beautiful picture so I'm Trudy. How about that? And I show up as the best versions of myself and having those two worlds collide so that I can be culturally competent and more aware with some island flavor and some seasoning.
I love that. And I'm like, where have you been all this time? I feel like we speak the same language on so many things, right? This idea, and we did connect on that, right? This kind of uh, balance of being both at the same time, but also discovering both at the same time, which it sounds like you had to do quite a bit, like within your time, and it never ends, right? That's the thing with identity; it never ends. You're always discovering new things.
Right.
Uh, so with that, I mean, you talk a lot about that relationship with self. And this is definitely right. Identity is one relationship with self. But I'm just wondering, just as you were growing up and thinking about, welcome to Official Savvy. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Our iRant family is heavy in the chat. Thank you. Um, how how was your own relationship with yourself? Like what were some of the things that you believed about yourself or that you carried about yourself in this understanding of who Trudy is?
Hmm. It's a really good question. I like what you prefaced your statement with, that discovery and self discovery, it's never a destination, it's more like a journey. So if you ask me, Myra, to explain who I was as a teenager, I was always this skinny. I was bow-legged with, I don't know if you know Helga from Hey Arnold. I had a big unibrow, big hair. I mean, I have it pressed hair it was, I was an insecure young Black girl trying to figure out where I fit because I was kind of nerdy, but I wasn't your typical nerd. But I was kind of a jock because I swam, I ran track, I played soccer, I played basketball. Sports was a big deal to my family. My dad, side note, he played in the Jamaican field hockey team. So he traveled the world to play field hockey for Jamaica years and years ago. So sports was a big thing in the identity of the Frazer household. So it wasn't an option. It was, which sport are you going to play and when are you going to start? So I identified as so many things. I was like this conglomerate and trying to figure out what that looks like, and spiritually, what do I relate to? What grounds me? And I think I'm still on that journey, figuring out what grounds me now. Thankfully, I don't have a unibrow anymore. And I've learned to, you talk about pain. I was teased. They used to call me Trudy Fruity, got no booty. I can laugh at it now, right? It's silly kids being kids. But you own those experiences. And I think going through the teasing and the bullying as a child has actually made me more empathetic. So what I didn't tell you is that I'm a pediatric dentist. So I relate to young girls, especially. I relate to the boys as well, but especially young girls because I see myself. I see when they're insecure. I see when they walk with their shoulders shrugged. So I'm just thankful for that experience because it's created what I think is a beautiful woman that you see today who is able to be empathetic. And I am a highly sensitive person, so I feel the energy when it comes in the room and I can speak to it. I can stop and pause before I go in their mouth with what people call the sharp instruments. I can speak to who they are as a person. I tell people I treat people, I don't treat teeth. So
And that's so beautiful. And the fact that you're able to merge these experiences of personal with your professional is always such a gift.
yeah,
And I think, you described what so many women I think struggle with sometimes identifying in their journey of understanding self today.
yeah,
Right? What did it feel like to be me as a little girl, and what did that little girl need that she didn't get? And I think it sounds like you've done a lot of work to understand that, but also I really appreciate the positivity in which you exude in everything. Right? You said like now you can laugh about it, right? And it's hard to reflect back on bullying and being teased and the harm that comes from those things, to see it as something that was what again happened for you but not to you, right? That's that shift, it sounds like, in your own mindset of it. And So I see a lot of folks in the chat. I just want to honor all of our folks here. Thank you for joining us. Welcome, C. Dot, our Renters family. Welcome, C. Dot. So glad you could join us. Last Men of Men. Big up the little island that could. Last Men of Men was on the show talking about Jamaica as well, who is Jamaican. I love it. And so, you know, you started to talk about it, right? You started to talk about your professional experience, and I think this is also like a big thing. And again, you and I have a lot of alignment here. Is that
yeah,
oftentimes we are trying to find that balance between personal and professional, and there's so many expectations put on women in the professional space, but also in that how much professional can you be while also being mother, wife, daughter, all the other things, right?
yeah,
What has your journey in becoming a pediatric dentist
yeah.
been in what you've taken away about like things you learn about yourself through your profession?
Mm-hmm. You do have a really beautiful way of framing these questions, Myra. Like, thank you for framing them the way you do. It's almost like an offering, an invitation to share. And I don't mind sharing because I know it can bless someone. Um, so I've been practicing for 11 years as a dentist, and I would say year six. And I realize it's not just dentistry, it's not just law. My husband likes to remind me, he's a lawyer. He's like, it's not just dentistry, it's any career where you are required to show up and perform at the highest level. And I think the burnout can become worse if you are dealing with people. So I know what it's like to be physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally drained. Initially, when I was undergoing the burnout, I didn't have a name for it. I just know I was in a bad marriage. I was in a toxic work environment at the time, and I had a control complex. I wanted to control everything. And as well, I like to ask people, what do you know to be true? Myra, from those experiences, what I know to be true is the only thing I can control is Trudy-Ann or how Trudy-Ann responds to people. I cannot control the screaming 2-year-old. I can't control the screaming mom because sometimes the stressful environment overwhelms them too. But back to my burnout. what I know now from that experience is I have to fill my cup every single day. I have to fill my physical cup, whether that's yoga. I have to fill my mental cup, whether that's reframing things and having the right perspective. When I'm having a bad 5 minutes, either, I'm running behind or the patient isn't reacting the way I would like them to, and which most 2 year olds don't, because I tell people they're not emotionally mature enough to say, Dr. Frazer, I don't like laying down. They just scream. But I reframe it and I manage parents' expectations now. So, the mental part. I have a therapist now that can talk to that childhood Trudy and figure out why it is why I act the way I act, or why I respond to things the way I do, or my spiritual cup, like journaling and meditation, things like that, that keeps me grounded day in and day out. And I wish I had 15 hours a day to do it all. But honestly, Myra, I think even 10 minutes, 10 to 30 minutes a day, doing small things actually helps to fill that cup. So at the end of the day, I'm not depleted. When things don't go well, I like to say I would not trade $5 for $1,440. The same way I would not trade this horrible 5 minutes that I'm having, this bad experience that I'm having, or this challenging experience for a, a was it 1,440 minutes that's in a day. I wouldn't trade it. So why do we do it with time? Like, you had a bad moment. It's not a horrible day. It was just a challenging moment that I can pause, take a breath, reframe, and keep going. So I think dentistry has really taught me a lot about resilience. And that's something that I take to my personal life as well.
Okay, so first of all, I wish I lived in Georgia and had you as a dentist for my children, or for me,
Right.
because I can
Right.
tell you, I love a doctor visit. I can't stand a dentist visit. Like, even as an adult, I don't. No, dentists are like, really. So this is like, you're healing some of my own childhood traumas right
Okay.
now.
So, Myra, I know this is your show, but I'm gonna call you out.
I go to the
And your
dentist.
dentist
I
will,
just
well, your
don't love it.
well, I hope you don't tell them that. And that's something that a lot of patients don't realize. Like, I see 40 kids in a day. And if I had 40 moms come in like, I didn't want to be here. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it messes with us. So I used now my families are they're in love. So, and I'm thankful for the experience now. But when they say, I didn't really like it, I pause. I'm like, oh, mom. And, depending on their energy, I'll meet them where they are and we'll have a conversation. They're like, dang, I never thought about it like that, Dr. So sometimes I go by Dr. Freeze. They're like, we got you. We got you. So let me help you. Let me let me help you
Look,
get this.
you are helping all of us right now in the chat
Yeah,
with me, all of us, because
yeah, we're people
but that's
too.
just it. But so much of everything that you said is that part of it is, no, I never told my dentist that because I don't have a relationship with my dentist. But I think that's a lot of it is what I hear in you is that you center humanity. And that's so important in any profession, but particularly in a profession where you're asking people to be vulnerable, to allow you in their most vulnerable spaces, right? Like, to trust you. There's a trust that you're building, and the care that you put into that is so important. But I think it says a lot about who you are as a person. And I mean, as you're talking, I'm like, wow, like, when do I get to grow up and be like you? Like, like the level of centering that you have, this ability to truly, truly, truly internalize and live what you're saying about staying in this peaceful space and recognizing that things are happening in a way that aren't taking over you. Like you said, you let go of the control piece, right? Which is a really hard thing. Is a really hard thing. But I gotta ask, I know, even for myself, and I know you're looking at me like, oh, but you have, and I have some skills and I've gotten some skills. And I know that where I am today compared to where I was 6 years ago, or 4 years ago is happen in a vacuum. So something, and you talked about burnout in your work experience, but have there been other big catalysts in your life that have pushed you to have to start to shift that
Mhm,
mindset?
mhm, mhm.
Or have you always thought like this?
Girl, no. Let me
Well, thank
let
you
me
for that because now I don't feel so
right.
bad.
And I was going to respond to you as you were speaking, and then don't let me forget to transition to your question. Myra, I don't have it all together. Please don't get look, in Atlanta we say don't get it twisted. I do not have it all together. I think what I do have and what I know to be true is I give myself grace. And a lot of times, grace is the hardest thing to give yourself. You give it to everybody else, but when it comes to Trudy-Ann Frazer, I forget and I'm hard on myself. And then I feel guilty. So instead of being gracious, I'm guilty and I'm beating up on myself. And it doesn't amount to anything. So when I find myself going, I take a moment. I have some eucalyptus spray in my office and I spray it and I take a breath and I'm like, all right, Trudy, reframe, take a moment. So, no, I don't have it all together. I just know that I'm a work in progress. And I think you said it very well. I'm not what I want to be, but I'm also not where I used to be. So, baby steps, one step after the other. And I think in Atomic Habits, that book by James Clear, he talks about baby habits, that the atom is the most basic element. And see, I'm nerding out a little bit, but the most basic element in the human body. But when you put it all together, we become this beautiful creation. But it starts with those small habits. So I would say the biggest thing, I speak on it, I try to live it, even though I don't have it right every time, but giving yourself grace. And that starts with gratitude for where we are now, but giving yourself grace. Let me transition into your question. Have I always been here? No, 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 no. I would say it's a sad story, but it's the purpose in my pain. I think your show is called Pain to Power, and the time we have is on my list. Yes, order
Yeah.
it and be
I was
audible.
thinking the same thing. I know it's one that I'm
Yes,
wanting
I,
to.
I read it and I listen to the audible at the same time so I can stay focused. But in any case, I was talking about my bathroom floor moment. So I'm thankful. I was that kid. My parents did not, so they were both teachers in Jamaica. After daddy transitioned from playing sports, he became a teacher. He taught biology, and my mom was a physical education teacher. So my parents valued education as most immigrant parents do. They're like, which one are you going to be? Doctor, lawyer, engineer?
Yes.
Most Caribbean parents, because they know about the opportunities that open. They're familiar with education. They're not really familiar with all the other stuff, which is a whole nother conversation that it sounds like we may need to open up. But in any case, I was told to model my books. So I modeled my books and I was blessed. And I input always equaled output for me. So you study, you work hard, you get tutoring, you ask for help, and then the pieces fell together for me. And I'm so thankful for that. But what I found in my first marriage was that input was not equaling output. When I was dealing with somebody who, without getting too grim or centering this conversation around the sad part, somebody that just was not pouring into their own cup. So they showed up empty. And here I was trying to pour and fill, not recognizing that, wait, all they're doing is taking. And now I show up depleted. I need to fill myself and you need to show up full. Even if it's three-quarter full, it's still better than empty. And then together we pour from our overflow. Well, that was not the case in my first marriage. I got married about 10 years ago, actually, to my first husband. And things just hit the fan. And I found myself on the bathroom floor for the third time, crying my eyes out, not knowing where to turn. I just knew I was in a different city from where my family was. We'd moved to Texas, and I was not sure of myself. I placed my worth in his hands. And what I know now from that experience, owning that power, is just because somebody doesn't see my worth, my value doesn't change. But Myra, I had to go through that experience in order to grow through it. And now, look, I'm glowing a little bit. Like that experience, that beat down. Sometimes you go through the pressure and you're sifted like gold. That was my sifting experience. And no, I'm not perfect, but I sure am better than I was before. But I'll never forget that bathroom floor moment because I didn't experience that in life. Like my parents sacrificed for me and my three siblings so that we can have what they didn't have. And school came easy for me and I worked hard. And I was like, wait, I'm working hard at this, but it's not working out for me. And I didn't know where to turn. Um, and I came back home. At the house I live in now was being rented by some wonderful renters before, but I went right back home to my mama's house upstairs and I worked 1 day a week. God bless my old boss. And I started to put the puzzle pieces together. That's why you hear me talk about my PMS framework. I feel like I should stop talking so that you can interject.
No, you're telling the story. I'm listening,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I'll ask when I need to.
Okay. Yeah.
We're
Please
listening to
don't.
you. Take the
Please
floor.
feel free to interject when you want. But yeah, through that experience, I developed what I call my PMS. I reframed PMS. It's not something bad all the time. I worked on my physical wellness. I started doing yoga. I started moving my body. You know, it's easy when you're in school and you have after school sports, but when you become an adult and everything is pulling for your time, prioritizing self so that you're not pouring once again from the empty cup, starting with that physical wellness. What I know now is that when you're moving your body, whether it's yoga, whether it's walking, and it doesn't even have to be anything big. I think my new husband, I call him the good husband. My good husband and I today, we went for a 30-minute walk and then I did some yoga afterwards. It doesn't have to be that. It could literally be moving your body for 15 minutes or on your 5 minutes on your lunch break, 5 minutes when you get home, just moving your body, your brain releases endorphins or serotonin, which is your feel good hormone, which you get with sex, you get it with chocolate, you get it with that new purchase. Is the same hormone that makes you feel good. So when you move your body, then mentally you start to stabilize some, then the mental part. I am such an advocate of therapy now. I didn't have a therapist before. I thought you only go to therapy when you have like a mental illness. But now I know like a therapist is a paid best friend that's unbiased and not invested in other people. But I get to talk about me and not feel guilty. That's probably why I told you you could stop me because I'm like, I'm talking about me and I feel guilty. But, she helps me work through things and shows me. It's like a mirror. It's a mirror that
Mm,
reflects back what I need to see or that mold that I have that's growing that I didn't pay attention to because I got so used to it. And then the spiritual part, the emotional part. I talked about the journaling. I talked about the meditation, but even prayer. I'm a respecter of all different beliefs, and I would never profess to have it all figured out or to say, "Oh, you need God." And like everybody believes something different, but I do believe that everyone needs something that will root, ground, and center them.
mhm. I love it. You did not talk too much. What you did was you shared your story, and that's why you're here is to share your story. And it's beautiful because I think you have one. Can I say your bathroom moment? I bet you there are a lot of people, and I'm gonna say women only because I think that I don't know if us women tend to have bathroom moments more than men, but I don't know a lot of men who have bathroom moments, but
They probably go to the
uh,
bar.
they might go somewhere else, right? They may not. But I remember actually seeing on your social media a post that you made about that bathroom moment, and when you said it, I could physically feel that moment because I've had those bathroom moments, and I've had them after my marriage too, in other spaces and other things, and there is something about this purging
Hmm.
of emotion that is so incredibly vulnerable and so hard and painful, and like it's a real physical pain that pulls you down to the bathroom floor, right? But also it's this catalyst to push you forward, which is what you did, which is where you got, right? And I think you have embodied that in your story, and then to I love the way you connected the PMS, right? Like it all like and they connect together, right? The physical leads to the mental, and the mental is what brings you then to the spiritual, and then the grounding in all of it, and that truly is taking your pain and turning it into power.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how has how did that journey change you, and maybe even like what were the struggles along the way of that, like try getting to that place of your power?
Mm. So you asked me two questions. I'm going to try to answer them separately. How did that journey change me? Um, I think it made me realize that I was human. Like when you're somebody that things work out, that's what you're accustomed to, things working out. However, you tend not to relate to people. So I would say it changed me because it made me more human in the eyes of others. And not just did it do that, it also made me more relatable. So I talk about work because that's what I do most of the time. We work 4 days a week. When I have a parent that comes in, I sense things differently because I've gone through it. When they make certain comments and I watch their body language or their aura shift or change, or I watch their eyes squint, I'm going to give you a free tidbit. Pain shows up here on everybody. So when you talk about something that's hurtful, your glabella is the name of the word. It fringes up, or like if I have a kid in the chair or an adult in the chair, well, when I used to see adults, they'll say, "Oh, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt." But when I see them squinching,
Your forehead says different.
it's different, and I'm stopping. But it's the same thing in conversation. Sometimes it's not what someone says, and it may not even be how they say it because they're so aware. But if you read their entire body language, like the way they shift when they say certain things, you can really lean in and feel what they feel. And 9 times out of 10, I stop. So I'm able to relate so much better, especially working in the environment that I work with. I don't have one patient, I have two. I have the kid and I have the mom, or the kid and the dad. So I'm definitely more relatable. I'm also more empathetic. Yeah, I had a friend of mine who actually went through a divorce as well. And he was a pastor. He's no longer a pastor. He said, I used to judge people like, you're going through a divorce? The Bible says you're not supposed to go through a divorce. He said he would judge until he went through it himself. And though that was not my judgment, I'm sure I judged people on other things. It's made me less judgmental because life happens, and it happens to the best of us. But I think through our experiences, the goal, or what should be the goal, and the challenge that I have for everyone, is to allow the circumstances of life that we can't control to make us better and not bitter. And it's a choice. It is a choice. And it's not so much about the destination, but who we become while we're on that journey.
Mm. I I love that, and I know you're going to answer the next question, but I do want to add, just because I think when that better not bitter is so important, and I wonder, because I know for me, I was in also an unhealthy marriage for 17 years, and part of that better not bitter was part of why I left, because I think that what I noticed is someone who chose bitter over better, and that was damaging me too, right, and my kids, and the whole environment and culture of my home. So I think it's so important, and I imagine, as you said, right, like when someone is not even filling their own cup, right, that's what it is. You're choosing sometimes bitter over better.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the humanity piece, like that is such a big thing, because I think sometimes we forget our own humanity,
Mm-hmm.
and right, like that, this idea that you said it, like being good at everything. I actually literally was just having a conversation with someone today about this idea, because I tried some, I was in a workspace this week, and I was in a new place where I haven't been, and I realized, I was like, when you're good at a lot of things and you're not good at something, it becomes very difficult. Like,
Yeah.
and that goes to the next question, right? Look, and that's something I'm learning about myself, is like, as
Yeah.
soon as something is new, then
Hmm.
I'm in my discomfort zone. And when I'm so comfortable with being like, I'm seasoned, I'm veteran in my job, I've had kids for years and years, like, I know all these things that I've been
I
doing.
love it.
Now you're going to throw something at me and I'm not good at it.
Hmm.
Um, it throws you off, and you forget your own humanity. So it's a good way, I think, to also humble ourselves, and
Hmm.
I've been trying to lean into that humbling of self, in recognizing and giving myself, for my own humanity, grace for that humanity, right? But so, like, what has come up for you in addition to that, right? Like, in challenges that you've realized along this journey, that kind of brought to light parts of you that you didn't know you had, but kind of had to work through.
Hmm. I think I alluded to it. I think I didn't freely give grace the way I should have. I portrayed that I was patient, but deep within, I'm like, what? What's wrong with you? Why can't you get this? But you become a much more patient teacher. You become a much more humble teacher when you challenge yourself to do new things, because then now the teacher becomes the student. And when you become the student and you have to learn, now you can relate to your students or the people around you that you're now teaching. So you're like, don't worry about it. I'll hold your hand, because
Mm.
you remember the thing that you tried new, the thing that you tried scared. I like to say, do it scared. Yeah, any new thing that people try, I say they fake it till they make it, but they're still scared. The fear doesn't go away. It's just
Mm.
they're brave enough to do the thing scared. Do the damn thing
Do
scared.
the thing scared. I love that. And I saw Mia just came in, and had a comment on that as well, in terms of, so true, the discomfort hurts. For me, it usually happens right when I just got comfortable somewhere. It can feel like a constant climb. Yes, it can. But then I guess it's also growth, right? So it's that, and it's funny, because I say this a lot, and I do believe it. I talk about, really complex conversations on race on a daily basis with people,
Yes.
and there's a lot of discomfort that comes into that, and I can push people into the discomfort of that, and not just push, but I can demonstrate how to create the space to do that. But
Right.
then for myself, that discomfort is really hard in other things in life,
Mhm.
right? And so it is that constant climb, but it's hard. And so, I mean, you've done a lot of work, you've
Yes.
learned a lot of things about yourself, but this show is really called Pain to Power, Leading with Love, because what you've done is taken that next step. I think it's one thing to heal yourself, it's one thing to find your own grounding and centering, and it's important. It's an important thing, let me say, for everyone watching. That is the goal. The goal is the healing of self. But I am always just, inspired by individuals who take that to the next level of then inspiring others. So you have Rejuve retreats. And tell me, and that may not be the starting point. What was the starting point of when you're like, I now need to share this with others? I now need for others to feel what I'm feeling.
Hmm. So I think it started with the bathroom floor moment. Um, and then I realized that I didn't know who I was. Like, if I wasn't insert ex husband's name here, his wife, and I wasn't Dr. Fraser, like, who was I? I was so broken. I literally felt my shoulders cringed and my jaw tightened. I mean, I was so stressed out. I was just a ball of frustration. So first it was accepting that the life that I built, the life that I had this foundation no longer existing. It was accepting. It's a grief. I tell people when you go through a hard moments like divorce, it's a grief. And I will never compare trials, but in this case, it's a death, but the person resurrects over and over. They never get buried.
They
So
no,
that
they don't.
comes with challenges, and I refer to me putting my life back together as a puzzle piece that fell down to the ground. And my challenge in order to become better, not bitter, was to put the puzzle pieces together in a way to make a more beautiful story because it had purpose. um I told you I moved back home with my parents, and God bless them. They were so thoughtful. I mean, there were days I like didn't get out of the bed. They didn't. They're like, "Are you hungry? You want some food?" That was about it. They were like, "We're gonna leave
Mhm.
her to experience this pain," because they couldn't relate. My parents have been married for 45 years, and as I started to do things, I started trying new things. Like I did a solo trip, discovery. I challenged myself to lean into gratitude. And I think Oprah talks about it in her book, What I Know for Sure, that the power of gratitude journaling. And for me, I'm not a huge writer, but I literally had three small things that I would look for each and every day, and three large things. The large things were easy. I'm so thankful for life. I'm thankful for breath. I'm thankful I made it safely. But leaning into those three small things each and every day forced me to see what I call my heart smile moments. And it was something small like, "Ooh, I had a scared kid." And she was like gripping my hand. And by the end of the appointment, she was like, "I got this, girl." That was a heart smile moment for me. So that became one of the small things that I was thankful for. Or if I got a kind note or something from somebody saying that you made me smile today, or, these little
Mhm.
things that bring you a glimmer of hope. So I think that also helped to reframe my mind. And then I started to accept, girlfriend, you are hot. Okay. You got it going on and you have a whole lot more life to live. This is just a chapter that I coach that are going through their trials. This has come to pass. It did not come to stay.
Mm.
So just leaning into those things and accepting day by day and searching for those heart smile moments. And I like to smile. So
And you have a beautiful smile. So it's like, and I love that heart smile moment. So I have a gratitude. That was actually part of my recent healing. I've been going through some stuff in the last few months, and that has been one of the things. I appreciate you saying that I write the things that I have gratitude for
yes,
throughout, from the day, and they really do. There's something about writing down something and the words coming out that releases it, but also allows you to like look at it and feel it and
yeah,
not just keep it in your head. That's really powerful.
right. It's all reframing, right? Because if you think of a cup, props. If you think of a cup, imagine if there was more water here. This would be, if it was to here, the bottle is half full, excuse me, half empty. But imagine if the water line was here, it's also half full. But so many of us lean into the half full, and we have so many things
Mm.
in life to be thankful for, to be grateful for. But it's so easy. It's like a muscle. Our brains are like a muscle, and some people go to the gym, or and if you don't, you know somebody that goes to the gym. And initially, those three push ups were hard. But after you get through those three push ups, then you move on to five. And all of a sudden, you're doing 50 push ups. I'm not there yet. But it's a muscle. So when you work the muscle, our minds, I think it's called a fight or flight system in our brains. We naturally want to see the bad so that we can avoid it because it hurts. Our mind, our brains are trying to protect us.
Mm.
We're like, well, let's look for the bad. And what's the danger? Stranger danger. Let's avoid it. Let's go around it. Let's circumvent it. But if we train our mind to say, hey, yeah, that's there, but this is also there, and two things can exist at the same time. And whatever Myra that you focus on, that's what grows. Whatever we focus on, whatever we nurture, whatever we feast our minds on is what grows. So if you feast your mind on flowers and beauty, your garden grows. The same way, if you feast your mind on weeds and you pour negativity and just death and toxicity into yourself, that also grows, and you wonder why your mind is filled with thorns and thistles. So that's the challenge too. Whatever you focus on grows. That glass, that cup is half full because somebody else has it worse than you, babe. I promise.
Mm, that's the truth. And there's so much good, right? That's so much good that we have to keep reframing.
Hmm.
You live it, and that's important. And I appreciate that you live it, but you consciously have to bring yourself to live it every day. And recognizing that is important because healing is not a destination; it is a evolution and a constant awareness of your consciousness and cultivating that peace. I say that often is that really it's cultivating your peace.
Yeah.
You have to be the one to do it. So I mean, so then how did you begin then? You said you coach and you
Yeah.
consult. So how did that all start?
Yeah. Thank you. And you brought up Rejuve retreats. Let's visit that for a moment. So I went through my own. Hey, I know that website. I went through that experience, and it was the hardest thing I've ever dealt with in my life, but it wasn't impossible. And what I saw from that experience was that I felt alone. I felt like I didn't have anywhere to turn. I told you my mom, my dad, they were like, baby, I can't help you. I don't know what to do with that. So I turned to my one friend that I knew that was around my age that went through a divorce previously, but there was only so much that she could do. I didn't have, I had a community of support. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank them and acknowledge them, but I didn't have like a support group of women that were holding each other's hands. And after going through all of that, going through therapy, which I still think see my therapist now, I just see her for like checkups, but it's I'm not in crisis. Um, After building my framework, my PMS framework, I realized there are other people suffering and they're suffering in silence. So my passion project and my purpose work is Rejuve Retreats, which Rejuve is short for rejuvenate, rejuvenate,
All right, it sounds like we may have a tech thing. But so Dr. Trudy-Ann is sharing with us Rejuve retreats and the information, and we can put that back up. Go and check out her website, which tells you all about the background and this amazing space for healing and centering yourself and really grounding yourself in PMS. Yes, and go click the link and visit Rejuve
I
retreats.
was reading a research study that showed that journaling is actually us writing out our thoughts and making it more clear. So instead of calling your friend that can't help you, sometimes it's better to not have that feedback. Sometimes it's better to figure out and get clarity for yourself first and then move on for help. So my challenge is, even if it's for 5 minutes, take out a journal and start writing. Who cares what you write? Just start.
Authenticity with a lot of great like-minded individuals, and just a time to let down and just be your true self.
This event has just been such a blessing, an unexpected blessing. Just the connection with the other women, the feedback, the dialogue, and Trudy, she's such a genuine, just warm-hearted, down-to-earth speaker and very relatable.
It has been so incredible so far. My favorite part of the event has been the spiritual sort of section where we talked a lot about the things that we are really grateful for and why we're grateful for it, and the importance of, digging really deeply and acknowledging those things within yourself so that you can appreciate the things around you.
I've been so excited to be here for this event. It has been amazing. I've known Trudy for quite some time now, and this type of event is so her. She's open, she is vulnerable, and she really wants everyone to be healthy, to be excited, to grow. It has been such a great piece of my time today. When I came, I really didn't know what to expect, but it has truly been a wonderful time. It is so worth the investment. Everybody really needs to take some time for themselves. And that's one of the takeaways that I've gotten from this whole retreat, that it is important to have self-care. It is important to take some time for yourself, that we have to pour into ourselves so that we can be there for our loved ones. If you take the time to do this, you will not be disappointed.
Tell us about, Rejuve retreats and where it all started for you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. So I made reference to that puzzle piece, and putting the pieces of the puzzle together and challenging myself to try new things and do it scared. So I love people, and probably my favorite part of my job is not the teeth. It's the people. I love connecting, I love motivating, I love inspiring. So I took a speakers course. Actually, if my husband was here, look, the good husband, if he were here, he would say, actually, you took an acting course first. Acting is harder than it looks. And that led to me taking a speaker's course. And then I realized, you know what? I have so much to offer. I have so much to pour into these women. Why not create my own stage? Why not? And I love to travel. I'm from Jamaica originally. The next retreat is actually in Jamaica. Unfortunately, it's full right now. It's in 2 weeks. But why not uh, curate a space, a safe space where women don't feel like they need to suffer in silence, but instead we have created a community of like-minded women who want to be vulnerable, who want to connect, who want to see each other win. Like, no matter what season in life you're in, whether you're grieving the loss of a loved one or you're grieving the loss of a relationship or a child, anybody like that, where you really just need time to pause, to fill your own cup. So you'll show up with your puzzle pieces on the floor. You'll start, I like to say this is a start. Like you said, healing is an evolution. This is the start of you becoming. This is the start of you evolving. And I really help those women put those pieces together, whether that's me hopping on a call and helping you find a therapist and teaching you how to vet a therapist, or shifting the perspective and start your gratitude practice. And I'm going to say this out loud because I'm going to keep myself accountable. I'm going to get certified in yoga so I can help people pour into that physical cup that'll translate into their mental peace, because peace is something that you choose. So, yeah, it's a passion project of mine, because I'm creating a space for women who are where I was, so they know that they don't have to suffer alone.
Mm, that's beautiful. That's really, really beautiful, Trudy. Like, I think it's this, and it's clear from the testimonies. Those videos speak volumes to what you've cultivated in the spaces and the power in which you've helped to empower so many women by supporting them. And I think oftentimes, and you said it, right? We don't always lift each other up in that space to lift each other up. It's obviously serene and beautiful. You're in Ocho Rios, Jamaica. Like, you can't go wrong with that, but everything else, right? And that, what has it done for you? Like, what's come out of it in your own, blessings or just learnings from starting Rejuve retreats?
Um, I won't turn this into a Bible study, but there is a scripture. Religion is something that grounds me, but there's a scripture that says, "Give and it will come back to you, full measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." And the gift of watching women evolve, the gift of watching, I like to think about the butterfly when it's going through that metamorphosis in that cocoon stage. But you see the butterfly, but they may not see themselves. They may not see their beautiful wings, and you help them gain those wings. I mean, it is such, it's so gratifying. And the the type of women that I attract are not selfless, or excuse me, they're not selfish, but they're selfless. So when they heal so many people around them. So it's almost like a ripple effect. And I believe that me blessing somebody, it comes back, karma, it comes back maybe in a different space at a different time. But I also am blessed. And I do believe my new husband, my good husband, is one of those blessings. That's a part of my testimony, is because of my healing. And I'm not perfect. I will not profess to have it all together, but I'm better than I was before. And I'm able to cultivate and nurture and water myself, and now cultivate, water, and nurture somebody else that's showing up as the best version of themselves as well. So I think it's all related.
I love that. And truthfully, that is so much more important than perfection, right? Healing others, watching others grow, being a part of that journey, and the seed that's planted, right? You're planting these beautiful seeds, and it's tremendous. Like I am inspired by you. I am enlightened by just your way of of creating the space, but also the way you show up. You show up in this energy and this light that is motivating others simply just by being. It seems, right? You don't, it's not, there's no gimmick, there's no you have to do this to get here. It's really truly, you're allowing everybody to find their own paths to their journey of power, which is a beautiful, beautiful and necessary thing. I really believe the more women I talk to, the more damage women have had, and particularly women of color. Right? Like, I mean, society, the norms that we have, the messages, and then truthfully, a lot of really damaging relationships have left so much heartache and heartbreak, and so many women not remembering who they are. You said that, and that stuck with me, this idea of you didn't know who you were, right? Again, I don't know why we haven't talked before. I feel like we have so much in alignment in our conversation. I'm literally been sitting in the space of, like, I think that's the key to so much, is remember who you are. Those three words is so much of reclaiming and reframing our power. And you are doing that for so many women and so many people, and in so many different spaces, which I really appreciate and admire. So this has been absolutely lovely. You have shared so much, and I know that we can't do Rejuve Retreat. Now, is Rejuve Retreats only for women in mental health or in the health field, or is it open to others?
No, when I formulated the website, I got so many women saying, "I'm not in healthcare. Can I come?" Yes. I I realized that it's not just women in healthcare that need healing. I think all of us need healing. I even had a couple guys reach out, and I said, okay, I'm not there yet, but let's start with what I know first. But it is open to all women, because all of us need to learn how to fill our cups. And actually, I'm in the process of starting our next retreat. Our next one is, because the March one sold out. October is going to be the next one. And no, it's not going to be in the beautiful island of Jamaica, but I did have a lot of people ask me about, like, excuse me, maybe a local retreat. So the next one is actually going to be in the beautiful Georgia Mountains. Can I say that with a Jamaican accent? Georgia Mountains.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, the cabin that we're looking at is, I mean, illustrious. We have 9 rooms, and it's like a HGTV house. Like, it's amazing. It's all things luxury. So
Nice. Well, in October in Georgia is still warm enough, right? So it's not too. I was excited about the beach warmth. I'll be honest, I'm a beach girl, so I like that. But that sounds amazing, and I love it. And definitely, everyone should go to the website and check it out, and be prepared for October and a Rejuve retreat. And definitely joining you. And I know also, before we go, I want to make sure you get a chance. You've been doing some Instagram lives and on a show called Not Just right? Tell us a little bit about that, and when people can learn more about your Instagram lives and catch you on them.
Yes. So you saw how my face lit up. So I realized each of those puzzle pieces that I put together had a different name to it. It had a different desire. It had a different purpose and passion because Trudy is this big, vibrant, bubbly ball of energy. And I'm so thankful for the IG Live series, not just the, because what it means is I am not just a dentist. I'm not just a Jamaican girl. I'm not just anything, and neither are you. We carry so many different hats, and I really interview, like, in fact, I would love to have you on the show. We highlight so many different individuals that are doing things well, where two or three things can happen harmoniously. So I'm not just a dentist, I'm a speaker, I'm a motivator, I'm a wellness retreat host, and my most recent ad to the Not Just the is a model. I walked in New York Fashion Week, and I'm so proud of that accomplishment because growing up I wanted to model. Coming from a Caribbean household, my mother said, "Picnic, go model your book." So I've modeled my books. And now I had the opportunity to model, but what I didn't know was going to happen was on my way to the show, and it's New York Fashion Week. It's a big thing. I started
Yeah.
getting, I started getting scared, and I realized I had to do the thing scared. And in order to do something new scared, I asked for help. And I think that's such a pertinent life lesson, Myra. When you're doing something new, be brave enough to do it, but be wise enough to ask for the help that you need. And that will actually lessen your chance of failing. So even though I walked the model route once, I thought I was just going to follow the person in front of me, but they closed the curtain during the real thing. Oh, well, the actual run through. And I was so confused. I was like, dang it, my crutch is gone. And the producer for the show was like, have you not done this? It's like, no. And he held my hand and he walked me through the whole thing. He was like, okay, girl, you got this, own this. And sure enough, I was able to own it. But the reason I was able to own it is because one, I showed up for myself. I did something new. I did something courageous. I did it scared, but I asked for help from the right person, the person that could help me.
Oh, that's key too, from the right person. But ask for help is a big one. It's
Mhm.
a big one. I'm so glad you lifted that up because that is an important part of the healing. Is we don't do it alone, which is part of why this show is here. We don't do it alone. We heal in community. We heal with tools. We heal by sharing stories with each other, by finding spaces like Rejuve retreats or your Instagram live to learn more about all the complexities of who we are and embrace it and love it and love ourselves, which is so important. So thank you so much. Yes, Logic and friends, this was awesome. Thank you. This was awesome. Thank you so much. I am so grateful for you, so grateful for our chat and our supporters and everyone who joined us. And again, we are brought to you in association with the iRant Network. I have to give one shout out because we talked about those tiny gratitudes. I have been doing, I don't know if you've caught them, but I have been doing moments of light with BGI. I have been lighting candles and thinking about my gratitude and my lessons. And this particular candle was gifted to me. I went to a friend's house for lunch today, and she said, "I've been watching your posts, and I see you're using a candle." And so she made this candle and gave it to me. And so the gratitude and love that I'm feeling from Frances Frost, got to give her a shout out. She's actually a former parent of one of my students. So thinking of your dentistry and the connection between parents and your patients, I would say I've had the same in my time as an educator and the connection with some of my parents. And yes, so I have to give a big shout out to Frances and a thank you for remembering my light. And thank you to Trudy-Ann. You have blessed us with your presence, with your story, with your lessons, with your guidance, and just your overall energy. Thank you so much. Please make sure to go follow her, follow the website, go check out her Instagram, her TikTok. And are you on Facebook as well?
On Instagram and Facebook at Tiny Tooth Doc, like your front tooth, Tiny Tooth Doc. Like Dr.
I need to, Doc. I love it. And that's all down here. Make sure that if you are watching that you hit that like button, throw in a comment, an emoji, something. Let us know you're here. Let us know that this touched you, how this show impacts you, and make sure you subscribe, follow, share. Check us out every Sunday at 9 p.m. over here on Brown Girl Interrupting. And if you have a Roku TV, Dr. Trudy-Ann, if you have a Roku TV, do you have a Roku TV?
I do.
Please go and download the channel I Rant, and you will find this show streaming as well as many other shows from our I Rant network that are talking about healing, growing, learning, and all of the above to continue to spread the good word. So make sure you go and download us on the iRant on the Roku TV or Roku stick, and follow me, Brown Girl Interrupting. And please make sure to join us every Sunday at 9 o'clock for more episodes of Pain to Power. Thank you so much, Dr. Trudy-Ann. This has been lovely.
I was so excited to become a pediatric dentist. And 2 years in, I started suffering from headaches and migraines, neck, shoulder, and a whole lot of back pain. I was struggling. Was this it? Do all dentists suffer from this? I wasn't sure. And then about 3 years ago, I started to study and research about musculoskeletal pain and burnout. Wait a minute, that's what I'm struggling with. I was burned out, but I was only practicing for 2 years. I'm so excited to announce that this year, 2023, makes 10 years since I've been a dentist. And I've learned so many things. I'm actually excited that I've gotten through it. I call it my PMS, my physical, mental, and spiritual wellness. I've learned how to pour into myself and fill my own cup so I can then show up for the patients and the family and the staff. If this is you, are you struggling with neck, shoulder, back pain, mental, physical, or spiritual ailments? I would so love to help you. I'm hosting a retreat, and I'd love to see you there. If you're interested, I'd love it if you post in my DM the word interest. I'd love to chat with you and give you some more information. See you soon.
Hi, my name is Maria, but you are soon going to know me as Brown Girl Interrupting. And what I mean by that is that very soon, hopefully, you're going to be following my blog. I am a writer, and I started writing because I was married, I had children, and then my life changed when I separated, and I did a lot of learning and reflecting and growing in that process of change, because change always leads us to that. And I've decided to share that with the rest of the world, because sometimes hearing that someone else is going through the same thing as you, or understanding and putting words to the feelings and experiences we're having, helps us to heal from them, or grow from them, or learn from them. And so that's what my blog is. It's writing about life, healing, relationships, parenting, dating, marriage, pain, love, mistakes, growth, and coming out whole still in all of it. My world has slowly crumbled around me countless times, and every time I rebuild with the pieces I've been given to birth something so transformational and beautiful that no one else knew might exist before it was shown to them. These moments tend to coincide within my romantic path. The universe has been telling me to focus on the revolution and not romance. It has over time given me the tools, resilience, and light to turn my pain into power. And only now do I see that the key to this always resided in the love and knowing I had in myself, not from the external sources of family or men. The message I have been avoiding might be that my time in this world I had existed in was not to receive love, but to put it out there for others to see, feel, and heal through. Revolution before romance moves pain into power.